Schaumburg Village Board meeting to order for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Such a long introduction here. First item is roll call. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Present.
Trustee Madej.
Present.
Trustee Dunham.
Present.
Trustee Sullivan.
Present.
Trustee Conley.
Present.
Trustee Kozak.
Here.
President Daly.
Present. All present and accounted for. Would the clerk please mind leading us in a pledge of allegiance?
Certainly. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Marilyn. Next item is the approval of minutes. We have minutes for September 8th, 2020. Look for motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Next item is approval of expenditures to the tune of $2,940,892.87. Questions, comments? If not, look for a motion to
Move to
approve.
approve the expenditures as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the expenditures as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Okay, next item is presentation. So we have a presentation of life-saving award to Police Officer Todd Kincaid and Unit Performance Awards to Battalion Chief John Schneidwin, Lieutenant Paramedic Corey Ball, Lieutenant Paramedic John Sheehan, Firefighter Paramedic John Newman, Firefighter Paramedic Daniel Slabowski. Okay. Firefighter Paramedic Josh Colvin, Firefighter Paramedic Lance Levito, and Firefighter Paramedic Daniel Annan by Chief Walters. So we have quite a few here. If you go ahead and proceed, Chief.
Actually, there'll be a unit citation for our guys, so it will be,
Okay.
it will be
You get
quick.
one for all of these?
Yeah, my story might be a little longer, but
Okay.
no, good evening and thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this. You know, it's become almost commonplace where our guys are out, excuse me, and we have successful outcomes with these cardiac arrest calls. So when I proposed to the manager that I wanted to do a presentation in front of the board, his question was, what's so different with this call that we need to make a presentation? And thinking about it was just there were several factors, and I think it started when Battalion Chief Schneidwin and he was giving me a briefing on the call, and he said, Chief, it was the perfect call. And as I looked into it, I realized there were several other factors. One, generally our cardiac arrest calls are for older people, and this gentleman happened to be fairly young. He had young children, and the actions of our personnel and the police officer allowed him to be around for his kids. And I think that was, that in and of itself is worth mention. The other aspect was I felt it was a perfect example of the services that we provide to the citizens of our village. As Jack had stated, it was a perfect call. The police officer arrived on the scene. He recognized what the situation was. He used his training, the equipment that's been provided by the village, the AED, started the CPR and continued CPR and defibrillated the person. Our guys got on the scene and transitioned into, you know, their protocol for advanced life support. The use of the Lucas device was instrumental. And again, I think based on, you know, the level of the training and the equipment that we have and the support we get from the village, just was led to this outcome, and I think it needed to be highlighted. So with that, I will read the award. Most of our personnel are on the call, I believe, and I have Battalion Chief Jack Schneidwin, if you want to step up. So this unit award, and again, it's, the reading is the same for Officer Todd Kincaid, and we will make sure he gets his plaque. But this is, the unit performance award is presented to firefighter Neiman, Slabozowski, Colvin, Lovato, Annan, Ball, Sheehan, and Battalion Chief Schneidwind. In testimony of their contribution and service to the Schaumburg Fire Department in the village of Schaumburg, these members are recognized for their exceptional skills and dedication to duty displayed at the below described incident. On July 26, 2020, fire and police units were dispatched for a male patient in cardiac arrest in a vehicle near Schaumburg Road and Springersgut. First on the scene was police officer Todd Kincaid, who took quick action in determining the patient had no pulse, applied his AED, and began CPR. The AED administered defibrillation, and Officer Kincaid continued CPR. Ambulance 51, Engine 51, Truck 52, along with Battalion 5, arrived on scene approximately 2 minutes after Officer Kincaid. Patient care was transitioned over to fire personnel, who continued CPR and began advanced life support measures. The Lucas device was applied, and the patient was defibrillated a second time. He regained a pulse and began breathing on his own. He was transported and is now home recovering. If not for the quick action by Police Officer Kincaid and on-scene fire personnel John Neiman, Daniel Slabozowski, Joshua Colvin, Lance Lovato, Corey Ball, James Sheehan, Daniel Annan, and John Schneidwind, this positive outcome would not have been possible. Congratulations on your successful efforts that resulted in saving a life. Thank you.
Is anyone getting pictures? Somebody should get a picture.
Yeah, we have no photographers.
Would you? Thank you.
At this time, again, I just wanted to highlight the fact that the support that we get from the village is instrumental in these outcomes, so thank you. At this time, I would ask Jamie if you want to unmute your mic, if you want to say anything, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Why don't you just quickly?
Yeah, I'm very thankful, and I'm the result of that call. Thankfully for you guys, I'm able to still be a father to my kids, a husband to my wife, who also is to be thanked because she started for the giving me CPR, which I don't know how I'll ever repay that one, but I've played it over in my head a million times, and the scenario that happened is the only thing that would have probably equated to me to be here right now to witness this award be given, and I'm forever grateful and thankful, and I really do appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment. I think the first we heard of the Lucas device was a presentation, at least I think the first I ever heard of it, was a presentation through our Youth in Government Day, where the firefighters that were working with some of the youth in that program, they're seniors at Schaumburg High School, made a presentation. And as I say, it was the first time I heard of it. So it's really important that we hear this stuff too, because we spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff, and you wonder how much of it sits in the trunk. In the case of the AEDs, we certainly know that's not the case. But to think that that piece of equipment came through that route of our officers knowing about it and wanting to advocate for us purchasing it, and it go through that purchasing process, and now that we have them, it's important. It's important we know that the money is well spent and that our folks are trained to do what they need to do. I think it's really impressive that this started with a police officer. Because initially, I think there was some reticence about, do we really need to put these in every police car? And it's great to hear. Thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Good luck, Jamie.
Okay, any other comments?
Thank you.
No. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Well,
Take care,
thanks.
Mike.
we're very glad it all worked out very positive, and it's good to still have you here. Thank you. All right.
There you go, Jamie.
We're going to move on to liquor license requests. We have a request from Mr. Ken Hamada for one Class F liquor license for Shabu Yu, located at 1180 Plaza Drive, new owner. And why don't you please come on up here. Please sign in and then tell us what, this is a new location. the new owner. Is it a new restaurant?
This is the old Chevy's.
Ah,
Yeah, old Chevy
Okay.
restaurant,
okay.
and they vacate about little bit
All
more
right,
than
well, this
2
is
years
exciting.
ago.
Okay, so you're the new owner.
New owner he's the CEO, Mr. Takase, and here is the general manager, Mr. Omi,
Okay,
of the restaurant.
okay.
And
Well, great. Well, we're excited. So tell us what kind of, obviously you've got a decor change. What else are you planning on doing with the location?
it was a kind of old country style Mexican restaurant before.
Right,
So right now we are remodeling inside and out. And inside is a kind of modern Japanese style, buffet style restaurant. And the exterior we are changing to somewhat a Japanese style, higher parapet and some entrance structures. And we are planning to open sometime December this year.
okay, great.
But subject to, right now, as you may know, the material availability is a very big problem. And siding material, supplier said 2-3 weeks. Yesterday they called 5-6 weeks,
Wow,
something like that. And also the cost of the lumber is almost 3 times. Used to be a 2x4x8 is about $2 range. Right now, $6 per piece. So unbelievable market situation. And we asked all the supplier, they said because of the coronavirus, this situation. I don't know that true or not, but everybody used that excuse. So it's because of that construction schedule is kind of delaying, but we now try to get it done as soon as possible. And this restaurant is so-called, name of the restaurant is a Shabu-yu. In Japanese, this is a Japanese restaurant. In Japan, they have many same name restaurant. Actually, the pronunciation is a Shabu-yu. Oh no, Shabu-yo. Sorry, Shabu-yo.
Okay.
And restaurant concept is a very unique, and the main dish is shabu-shabu. Shabu-shabu is each guest has their own pot in front of them. So let's say 4 people sitting, they have a 4 pot and with induction heating cooker. Then they boil the water, only the water. Then they can get meat. Meat is a pork and a beef. Whatever they want, they can take. But in the corona situation, I think we thinking to serve these. But basically, they can get whatever they want: meat, vegetable, and many other ingredients and soup, salad, sushi, and curry rice, fried chicken, fried potato, something like that. A big space we have. About these area is about 1,000 square foot, and the total square foot is, including kitchen, about 77. So it's kind of big one, and about 1,000 square foot of the space, there are all kind of food. So people, they can choose whatever they like, and they cook on their table. Then very thin sliced meat takes only less than 1 minute 20, 30 seconds they cook. So then we have so many variety of the sauce, many Japanese special sauce, which their company developed in Japan. And they put into the sauce and eat meat and all kind of vegetables. And in Japan, this restaurant concept is very successful. So they decided to have first shabu-shabu restaurant in U.S.
So
They
this,
choose
this is the first location,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
in U.S. first location. And
We're excited that you've picked Schaumburg. It's out of all the places you could go. I mean, there's lots of great locations throughout the Chicagoland area and throughout the country, for that matter. But we're excited you picked Chicago, or picked the Schaumburg location as being your first. And so,
Yes.
we're extremely hopeful that it will be a great location. It will be start of many more for you to come.
actually, the location is very good.
Yeah.
Golf and Mitcham, everybody they know, and
Okay.
we didn't advertise yet because we didn't know the actual opening date. But in Japanese community already, almost all the people they know,
Yeah. Okay.
and so we'd
So
like to
the
make
word's spreading already.
kick
Good.
start.
Good. Well, we do have a large Japanese community here.
Yeah.
In the area in general, both Schaumburg, some Arlington Heights. So it is a very large community, so this is a great location for it. So,
And many American people, let's say, who had some relation to Japan, and sometimes they went to Japan, they already know shabu-shabu. And these people is also expecting to
Okay.
have this restaurant here.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, first let me ask, any questions or comments from anyone on the board?
No, I'm just really excited to see this coming. I mean, Japanese cuisine is very good. I don't know how many others have had it, but it's very good food. It's well prepared, and just the aesthetics when they design, the interior. I'm sure it's going to be
Yes.
fantastic.
Agreed.
And who doesn't like some good sake?
We're going forward to it.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone over here? No. Okay. Well, from here, tomorrow or any day thereafter, you or someone will need to appear Liquor Commissioner's office, which is upstairs, and go through the approval process to get the liquor license, which includes having a background check and fingerprinting by the police department take place for that. So once that's all done, then a liquor license will be issued. Okay?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. It will be read in its entirety, voted on as one motion to approve. If you wish to discuss an item further, please indicate that when the item is read by the village clerk so that it can be removed from the consent agenda and discussed further under committee reports. Otherwise, all items will be approved as presented on the consent agenda by one motion to approve all. Marilyn.
The consent agenda, number 1, liquor licenses. A, the motion would be to approve the request from Ms. Heather Collier of St. Peter Lutheran Church and School for one Class D one-day liquor license for the Oktoberfest on Sunday, October 4, 2020, from 12 p.m. until 4 p.m. at St. Peter Lutheran Church property at 202 East Schaumburg Road. 2, proclamations. A, Emergency Nurses Week, October 11th to 17th, 2020. 3, Engineering and Public Works Committee. The motion would be to authorize the village manager and village clerk to execute a contract for GPS video event recorders and support services with Licks, Inc. of San Diego, California, for a total amount of $170,715, and approve issuance of a purchase order for the first year in the amount of $79,770 for hardware installation and support services, and approve the required resolution. B, the motion would be to approve participation in and authorize the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for the commuter lot Metro Station platform concrete improvements with Metra, and approve the required resolution. C, the motion would be to approve waiver of competitive bidding and award the commuter lot Metro Station platform concrete improvements with Gallagher Asphalt of Thornton, Illinois, in the amount of $138,294. 4, Planning, Building, and Development Committee. The motion would be to approve a contract extension with Chastain and Associates, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $34,918 for engineering consulting services for the Community Development Engineer position through January 31st, 2020. 5, Plan Commission. The motion would be to approve a fence variation located at 2226 West Weathersfield Way. 6, Zoning Board of Appeals. The motion would be to approve a special use amendment for a dog park addition, site plan amendment for parking lot modification, and Woodfield Regional Center design review for the Algonquin at Old Plum Grove. B, the motion would be to approve a special use for Type A restaurant expansion and parking variation for Tosian expansion, 22 East Gulf Road. C, the motion would be to approve a special use for an internet auto sales facility and parking variation for Finners Motors, Inc., 618 Morris Avenue. 7, resolutions. The motion would be to adopt as resolution R20-074, authorizing the village manager to execute a professional services agreement with Chastain and Associates, LLC, to provide interim staffing for the position of Community Development Engineer. B, the motion would be to adopt as Resolution R20-075, authorizing the village manager and village clerk to execute an agreement by and between the Village of Schaumburg and Lynx Inc. for the purchase, installation, and support of video event GPS recorders. C, the motion would be to adopt as Resolution R20-076, authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an intergovernmental agreement for the commuter lot Metro Station platform concrete improvements with Metra. 8, ordinances. The motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-077, granting a fence variation for 2226 West Weathersfield Way. B, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance 20-078, granting a special use amendment for dog park addition, site plan amendment for parking lot modifications, and Woodfield Regional Center design review for the Algonquin at Old Plum Grove Road, 2450 North Plum Grove Road. C, the motion would be to adopt as ordinance number 20-079, granting a special use expansion for Type A restaurant and parking variation for Torzin expansion 22 East Gulf Road. D, the motion would be to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-080, granting a special use for an internet auto sales facility and parking variation for Finners Motors, Inc., 618 Morse Avenue. This concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you, Marilyn. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Mark.
Motion by Trustee Dunham, seconded by Trustee Madej. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Cozy.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Committee reports. There is none listed. Don't suppose we have any, right? No. Moving on to comments from the audience. Don't think we have any here from the audience. Do you want to cover the anyone from listed on the Zoom?
Yeah, there are some names listed on the Zoom roll call that I don't recognize as village employees. So if there is any member of the general public who's participating by Zoom and would like to address the board on a matter pertinent to the village, you can unmute your microphone and make those comments or ask that question now.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on. Council report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have is to continue our series of proclamations, so I'd ask for a motion to extend the proclamation declaring a local state of emergency originally made on March 20th, 2020, until the adjournment of the next regular meeting of the Village of Schaumburg Board of Trustees.
Move to approve as stated.
Second.
Motion and second to approve as stated. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bischke.
Aye.
Trustee Madej.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
That's all I have.
Thank you. President's report. So I have one item that I have asked for, which I think you know the background as to how this got started, but it came up because of some concern I had for confusion regarding what the area for screening of these video gaming units would look like in a regular establishment, and basically a restaurant establishment, not the cafes per se, but in a restaurant. So we do have some, we do have a revision that's been prepared. You're familiar with it, I'm sure. Talks about the 42-inch height, not requiring that it be a full wall. And so there's actually two parts to this. There's that part. The other part had to do with ensuring that there was no lighting or sound from the gaming machines visible or audible from outside, including any flashing lights, strobe lights, oscillating lights, whatever, coming from the area. So I want to open this up to discussion as to anyone that wants to talk about it. So, Trustee Bischke, I know you had some concerns about this in relation to the original ordinance, this draft, so.
Yeah, this draft is very similar to the original ordinance in that it still states, you know, that towards the end of the paragraph, notwithstanding the foregoing, to the extent possible, no flashing or blinking lights or sounds from the gaming machines shall be visible or audible outside the segregated area. And then there's the new sentence that was added, that there shall be no flashing strobe or other oscillating lights drawing attention to the gaming machines. I think that's the source of the original confusion in the document that was prepared by staff as a guideline for the establishments, and why there was a requirement that was added in there that the height of the wall would at least be as high as the machines. And in my opinion, I don't know why we would need to regulate the lights and the sounds for the establishment. I think the individual business owners can regulate that based on the environment that the machines are in. If you're in a restaurant, in a bar area that has 30 TVs on the walls and the game playing, you know, the games are on Sunday and so forth, and the machines are a little louder, that just adds to the atmosphere that you're going there for. But if you're in a hotel lobby, I'm sure the management is going to tone those down, and I would be of the opinion that we allow them to do that, and that we strike that language out of the ordinance.
So if I may, you're absolutely right. I think the confusion did stem from this in the attempt to make the machines quiet and
invisible.
yeah, kind of invisible. I mean, they're not going to be invisible by any means,
Right.
but at least to kind of tone them down. And I think that's how we ended up with getting a full wall built out of the thing. So that's certainly one. This wording in here, so taking it a little apart, the wording in here talking about having a solid wall, in effect a half-height wall at 42 inches, seems to make that better. It allows visibility into the area to ensure that anyone in there is at least 21 years of age and older, and that was the intent, so that covers that. This next part here, I'm going to open up and ask anyone who else has comments. My feeling on this is I don't want any of those flashing lights and all that other stuff there. I do hear what you're saying, allowing businesses to make their own choices. So I'm willing to open this up and let's have some conversation. So anyone else? Trustee Madej.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Trustee Bichki on this. The environment, depending on where the video vendors put their machines, basically is dependent on if it's a quiet restaurant or if it's in a, in the bar, next to a bar area, which is mostly adults and things like that. I think that the owners are going to actually adjust, the loudness of it and so on. And these games all have lights and flashing, just like pinball machines. It's almost impossible. I mean, who's going to want to sit there and play a game that is dull, just lit up and not flashing and stuff like that? Go to a casino, you're not going to go to the game that is just sitting there, just, dimmed. And that's basically what we're making them do, is just to dim it out and have a machine set there just taking your money. I think it's an overstep. I think, again, like you mentioned, I think that's how they got the idea of putting the whole wall up, because there's no way to have these there with no lights and sound and stuff like that. So if you put a whole wall up, now you're putting in a secluded area where you can still do all that. So I personally think that we should actually strike that out.
Okay. So my understanding is Hoffman Estates, and I don't know about Mount Prospect, but it's a switch inside the machine to turn the lights off, or to turn the flashing lights off and to turn the sound off, so that they give each location an option as to what they want to do. So some places want it, some places don't. So I don't know if Mount Prospect does that.
Mount Prospect has a no lighting outside the area.
Okay. Okay.
To the extent possible.
Okay. All right. Anyone?
Well, let me ask you a question,
Sure.
because it's there to the extent possible. How do we manage to that? We either shut it off or allow them to have it. And to the extent possible is so ambiguous. It could be, one inspector could say it's too loud, one could say it's fine, one could, I just don't know. That's the problem that I have with it, is that it's just to the extent possible.
And I'm right there with you. They're either on or they're off.
Right.
So I don't have any problem with that. We just need to decide which way we're doing it. So anyone over here? Trustee Conley?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we're overstepping what we need to regulate here. I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish. I think that the owners know the kind of atmosphere they're trying to have in their establishment, whether it happens to be a family-type establishment or a more adult-type atmosphere. And I even think there's probably different times of the day. So an establishment could choose to turn off some of the sound or light in the early evening hours, let's say, or lunchtime, or whenever they would choose, and maybe they would crank that up after 9 o'clock. And I don't see that that's something that we need to regulate. I mean, I think we've done a good job with saying we're not going to allow flashing lights or things in windows of stores that say video gambling here. We're going to allow a minimal amount of advertising outside. And I think it's, it's sort of like the early days of no smoking. The customers will dictate this too. If this is a place you've been going to for years and you come in with your kids or grandkids and you think it's gaudy and not nice, you'll probably say something to the owner that hey, what's, you know, you're changing the atmosphere. I really think it's up to the owner to tailor it to their premises, the time of day, their clientele, all of that, and it's outside of our need to regulate.
Okay, anyone else? Trustee Sullivan?
My guess is that most restaurants know what their customers will like or will use. And if it doesn't work out that way, they will change accordingly, I would think. You know, if they see their business going down or they get customer complaints that this is too garish or it's bothering me, I'm not coming back, you know they'll change because they want that business, so.
Anyone else? No? Trustee Kozit? No? So what's, my feeling is I think we should be turning them off, but, you know, looking more to see where we can get concurrence to move forward with this and get this change in place. So,
one thing to keep in mind is there are two things that deal with these lights. One of them, the first sentence, notwithstanding the foregoing, deals with lights and sounds that emanate from the machines themselves. And then the second part of the sentence talks about flashing strobe or other oscillating lights drawing attention to the area. Those would be lighting outside of the machines, drawing attention to the area. So
Would more or less be advertising inside the establishment?
through just lighting is the way I would interpret that. So,
But that's your interpretation. The way it's written, it's not very exact. I mean,
well, I think it sort of is. No flashing or blinking lighting or sounds from the gaming machines shall be visible, and in no circumstances shall there be flashing strobe or other oscillating lights drawing attention to the gaming area. So those would, by
Yeah, it's really
definition,
two
not
parts.
be on the machines. They would be drawing attention to the area.
So it would be okay to have an LED type of light, a neon type of light, anything else that says video gaming, according to this, is just that can't flash or oscillate or do this thing.
That's how I would interpret it, right. That's correct.
You couldn't have an arrow with,
They could
Neon
flash on the
bulbs.
machine. If you could strike out, if you strike out everything, you're saying we're not going to regulate the lighting on the machines or the lighting that deals with the area. If you strike out the first part, you're saying we're not going to regulate the lighting or sounds emanating from the machines, but we do want to regulate the lighting drawing attention to the area or showing off the area.
I guess I certainly don't have have a problem if, particularly since there's laws and things in certain situations where it would say video gaming or whatever language they chose to use. I guess I don't have as much a problem with saying they can't have these flashing lights, but again, I think that particular establishment, a classy place is not going to want that.
It's true.
And I don't have
So-
a problem with that portion of it either, as long as it's not interpreted to mean from the machine.
from the machines, right?
Yeah. So I guess I would propose a motion as this, to accept the changes to the ordinance as this reads, striking the words from notwithstanding the foregoing to the extent possible, no flashing, blinking sounds from the gaming machines shall be visible and audible outside the segregated area. And leave the rest of the ordinance alone.
Right.
So we would strike and then change in to a capital I. In no circumstances shall there be any flashing strobe or other isolated lights
Correct.
drawing attention.
And we would make that a
That would
capital I.
work grammatically.
I'm sorry, so could we repeat that again? My apologies.
So the motion would be to approve the ordinance as submitted, however, striking from the word notwithstanding the foregoing, and to the extent possible, no flashing or blinking, lighting, or sounds from the gaming machines shall be visible or audible outside the segregated area, and strike out all of that, and then change the small I to a capital I, and leave it to the end as it is.
Okay.
I believe that's Trustee Connolly's proposal.
That's my,
Any other comments, questions on that? No? Then you look for a motion to approve?
That's the motion. Trustee Connolly made the motion.
it certainly is,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, motion and seconded by Trustee Madey. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bishke.
Aye.
Trustee Madey.
Aye.
Trustee Dunham.
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan.
Aye.
Trustee Conley.
Aye.
Trustee Kozak.
Aye.
Okay, then the next item is to approve ordinance number,
So the only thing we just need to realize is what we did by that is the motion, and I should have caught this, the motion should have been to accept the recommendation of the committee to adopt the ordinance and to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-81, the language as presented with those changes. That's
okay, well, I
consistent.
assumed you were taking it as two separate items, but,
Yeah, they can still
Okay.
approve the ordinance.
Yeah, you could still, okay,
right,
For the motion to waive
great,
first reading.
that's fine, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So go ahead and
So-
state that, Lance, for the
Okay,
board.
so now that vote was on the recommendation regarding the language. Now we would need a motion to adopt, to waive first reading and adopt as ordinance number 20-081, amending Title 11, Chapter 112, Section 112.03, G4 of the Schaumburg Village Code relative to the screening requirements for video gaming, and accepting in the draft ordinance that same strikeout that the trustees just voted on and approved 6-0.
So moved.
Second.
Who moved?
motion and a second.
Who was the first?
Motion was by
Madej.
trustee Madej,
Okay, Conley?
and trustee Conley, second.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bischke?
Aye.
Trustee Madej?
Aye.
Trustee Dunham?
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan?
Aye.
Trustee Conley?
Aye.
Trustee Kozak?
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you very much. Managers report. Oh, I'm sorry, I do have one other item. My mistake. So we received notice regarding what's referred to as Invest in Cook, and this is from Cook County. So let me note here, I got a phone call from Cook County Commissioner Morrison saying that the village will be receiving $145,000 in grant funding from Cook County. And this has to do with this Invest in Cook program. And it covers 6 mid-block pedestrian crossings that'll be upgraded with ADA improvements, enhanced crosswalks, and in some locations, rectangular rapid flashing beacons. This was all put together and submitted and done by Director of Transportation Karen Robles. And so congratulations on securing these grant funds for the Village of Schaumburg, continuing to help make Schaumburg a safer and more pedestrian-friendly community. So thank you, Karen. That's all I have, sorry. Managers report.
I have no report this evening.
New business. There is no new business listed. Any unfinished business? Trustee comments and mentions? Trustee Bischke.
Just real quick, on the dais in front of you, everybody has a little book from Topgolf. President Daly and I were able to go to a SBA Business After Hours event last week at Topgolf, and those were little handouts that they had, so I picked up a bunch for everybody, so.
Thank you, sir. And it's de
Little-
minimis in nature
little
since it's
journal.
got their name stamped on.
Thank you, Brian.
Can't sell it.
Pass it around.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other trustee comments, mentions for this evening? Nope. Okay, look for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bischke?
Aye.
Trustee Madej?
Aye.
Trustee Dunham?
Aye.
Trustee Sullivan?
Aye.
Trustee Conley?
Aye.
Trustee Kozak?
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.